All right. So today is the first day of the 40th video um, about the speaking practice. I've done the lesson 13 and I'm gonna move to lesson 14. If it is a really good chance, so it is a really good chance for me to improve myself. So okay, so let's start it now. All right. You know the saying, you got to try your best. I would say that's you did best. Being top 20% of your classes good enough for you? No. If you want something, you got to get after it, and then you will start producing good results, and then you will build confidence along the way. Let's just cut to the chase, and then 10 study techniques that I share where, but as medical student, it helped me to get into medicine, and I use the on the day to basics, half of them focus on the actual study techniques, and another half focus on studying mentality, which just as important. Let's start with the first one. Study from the testable core material outward. First, you're going to study from the testable material outwards. So let's start the box represents all information that is present to you. And then start in the middle, it is testable material. Someone who doesn't know how to do from top to bottom for every single little detail, when the exam comes, they haven't covered like 22% what is testable. Person was to know how to study stuff from the middle, study from the core material, is testable and study outwards. When exam time, although they have studied everything, they study the way it's important and that it's testable. I know that you want to be the best student as possible. I want to be the best doctor as possible. So when studying, we have to tendency to try to learn everything. You have to do measures saved from focusing on those long-term goals to short-term goals. And those short-term goals when you're especially courses to pass it, every midterm and every exam that is presented before you. And they lose those they will care of themselves. You know how you want that's testable or not. A few ways of figuring that out. First is to look for practice tests or previous tests. Sometimes lecturer give you couple questions at the end of the lecture or to go over on. Pay attention to those. I also looked online in undergrad to figure out if there are any practice tests lying around. I asked seniors if they've taken the course and if they have any practice material. I asked my friend who was also taking the course. You know, you're gonna use your resources to figure out if there are any additional study materials that you can use. You have to think like examiner, not as learners. When you are going to overview material, always imagine in your mind how can I test it in multiple choice format, how can I test it in a short answer format, and then try to learn it and then try to learn it way. Number two, right? Include it to write good notes. Not just notes and then plan out everything for midterms or your exams, and then you constantly evaluate using that you are falling behind. So first time, let's say you're taking 5 courses and before a midterm, you have to go 10 over 10 lectures per course. And then each course has 50 slides. It up to 2,000 you have to go all before midterm. So to write a good concise note, let's just summarize everything that makes it much more for you to all go for two meters before you write the meters so that you are not overloaded. Try to not notice as containing the keywords important information. You know that if you don't remember something, you know you have a PowerPoint slides that you can always fall back on. Active number two ability is to use active recorded learning. I mean videos that you can watch, but I mean expand a little of video here. By giving you examples, students don't know how to study. So when presented with information like energy, powerhouse, or of a cell, they do it without thinking it, they just write. Nothing coming out of the brains. So when I'm going over my notes and his rich information, I write only keywords. And as opposed to looking at my notes, I look at the keywords. For example, what is mitochondria? And just think mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. What is the powerhouse of the cell? And I try to supplement information from the lecture, and this is powerhouse lose ATP. So other than using all my senses, I'm running out which is my tactical emotion. I'm saying something else, which is verbal. I'm looking at notes with previously. I'm using the visual cues. I'm saying that I'm listening. I'm listening to my already senses. Almost when you often actively recalling, you cannot remember all the information. That's okay because the studies have attempting to recall indicating the connection between the information and the memory. And now number four, emphasis this is not reviewing and it's just as important as learning new information. So I'm telling you not just to go over before a midterm, for example, and supposed to be ongoing 20, go back on to 20. What I do is go to 1 to 5, then I review 1 to 5 quickly, and then I move 6 to 10. And then once I'm done 6 to 10, even more quickly, I go over 1 to 5, and then I go over 6 to 10, and then I'll go over 11 to 15. Obviously, you have time to discuss correctly before midterm so that you actually cover everything. Study harder for midterms. Now, find one person, even more important, but I think you have to study harder for your midterms than your final exams. You're gonna go after study hard for your exam, final exam, but you have to study harder for your midterm because that sets the tone to your entire course. Let's say you have bad mark on midterm, entire course, you just catch up again. Going at a hard time, probably 2 months, or worrying about before you gotta go enough mark you can make up for the bad mark on midterm. Strong mindset. Now I see the same with strong mindset throughout the school year. I'm going to come across title. How should you know what I'm saying? You got to do your best to say before you got to be the best. Is your best? Do you top 1% of your class? Your best the top 5% of your class. If you remember that you want to get into the end, that less than 10% assistance, right? It being top 20% of your marks. Good enough for you? No, if you want something, you have to get it. Have to got it of it. And if you study producing good results, you will build the confidence along the way. Someone is putting the work in and I can't count until to put this video because this is study technique video, but compared to someone who knows all the study techniques but doesn't work hard, someone who doesn't know any of these techniques and is just putting the hours in studying and getting information into the brain is always going to beat that person with better study techniques. I wasn't the brightest person in my class, so I did whereas I just literally outworked everyone how that I worked into a library before everyone else, and I worked at the library after everyone else. I spent my time studying on Fridays night, Saturday when everyone else partying, and it was one of the students that was living in the library at the same time as tonight, and he's now a cardiac surgery student at U of A. So that's not happen. So you have to outwork everyone if you really want to successful. You might get a study partner and friend who wants to pass you. If you think it's going to be hard to find them, if you want studying at night, studying all the time, you tend to come across these guys. And hard coming early in the morning and leaving at less than 9. Coming in the weekends, but in undergrad, I had a group of friends and really studied with, and I really disturb each other. When it was time to study, we didn't interrupt each other. When it was when the person was taken care of with them and have fun. Consistency. Number 9 is consistency. 9 is saying consistency in saying. On top of everyone, especially in medicine, they would mean like million things go on. You can look like track of things. I get super shit, so I have to be on top of every email. I have to be on top of every assessments and all the work I have to do. In undergrad, you are dealing with 5 courses plus your extracurricular and everything going on, so you have to just stay on top of things so that you don't fall behind. Yes, let me give an example of consistency and why it's so important. You have student A and student B. Student A is working Friday night, Saturday, Sunday. Whereas student B decided to work on Friday, takes Saturday and Sunday off. Then the afternoon had fallen behind student A. About 24 hours. So them harder how to try. Next on Monday, studying 4 times and opposed to 10 hours. On Tuesday, studying 16 hours. That guy is always playing catch up to student A. And when you're on a curve on university, you on undergrad, you're just going to not be able to compete against. Number 10 is effectively controlling your anxiety and your worry. When you're going through school, there are 2 types of warriors. One is someone who doesn't study and is worried about not studying. That's a solution to that is simple, you're just gonna study. Number 2, education type of warrior is someone who worries despite having done all studies and then you're not in a position, then you need to write down that you are worried about. So on a notebook and an iPad or whatever you worry because you're not seeing that you worry about. So divide line halfway in the middle and write out what you can control and what you cannot control. Something like that. You can control is working up early, going to the library and studying a fixed amount of hours and staying focused when you're studying. What you cannot control is the actual grades that I'm going to get from this course. So if I'm worried, who am I going to be? I B plus to a minus I minus I plus you cannot control as focus or you can control. You just have to give up on what you cannot. All right. So after I finished the speaking, I feel really, really bad for my pronunciation right now and for my speed. It is really bad. I cannot catch up. You know, his 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 speed. Like he's been really fast, faster than the previous video that I've done. It's about like maybe 0.25 slower than this one. So because this one it is really fast, so fast. So it is really hard for me to catch up at the beginning. Actually it is a first time for this video, so it is really hard for me to catch up with this guy. But maybe in the next video, in the next practice, in the next practice, I can, you know, figure out what is the thing that I want to do to speak at the same time with this guy and have a good pronunciation. All right, that's the end of this video today.